This is Alvin from Habibi's 4317. Today in North Little we still have the green top at your very next stop. The same break service for more help. Give us a call 501-663-1553 or 664-2197 or call our toll-free number 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pillows, hospital beds, wheelchairs, diabetic supplies, underpants, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Guess who's on Joynet Radio? It's your girl, Ellen J. with Coffee Conversations with Keisha. Coffee Conversations with Keisha is an interactive online daily devotional that rightly divides the Word of God. It's Kingdom, baby. Join us Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's weekday mornings, 5 a.m. at joynetradio.com.
You got it. Easy Rock's answer to your aggravation. Joy Network.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
Yo, what's happening? It's the weekend, baby. Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to Black Focus Radio. It's our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. My good buddy Robert Webb is in the hizzy as well.
What up, baby?
Hello, Roberto. Hola.
What's up, Doc?
How you doing, man?
I'm up in this piece, and it is Friday.
You got a big weekend plan?
The biggest ever.
Oh, yeah? What you gonna do?
Sleep.
Well, that's probably a good weekend. By the way, if you're trying to get into the Facebook feed, it's connecting and disconnecting. I don't know what's going on with it, but we'll keep trying it and see what happens as we go on here today. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Certainly, we're going to talk about a little international news. I like what the Ugandan president did to Bibi Netanyahu. We'll talk about that. We'll certainly talk about someone who gets $5 billion annually from our tax dollars has decided that they would bar some U.S. congresswomen. We'll talk about that as well. We'll still follow up a little bit on the Jay-Z issue also. There has been a lot of blowback on the NFL. I don't think that they expected this. I think they probably thought that when they did this Jay-Z thing that all the black folks were going to line up. No, you just learned that we are not a monolith, okay? So we'll talk a little bit more about that today, and certainly tomorrow on Black Focus Radio, we'll get into that. Also, there was a bill in Congress to offer 6 weeks paid leave when necessary. It's been opposed by your congressman. By the way, they get 33 weeks paid leave. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you. We'll get into that as well. Just tons and tons of issues that we can discuss today. I do want to remind people that tomorrow, 8 to 10 a.m., the weekly sports magazine will be on. We will get more in depth with the Jay-Z issue and the NFL and talk about a lot of other issues that affect sports. Now, let me be clear with you. My sports show ain't like everybody else's. We don't necessarily talk X's and O's and Jimmys and Joes. All right? We talk about the issues that affect us through sports. And we'll throw in some other things as well. And I still have not decided whether or not that I'm going to cover the NFL this year. And it's looking more and more like I'm probably not going to cover them. But we'll get into all of that in the morning as well. So That's what's on the agenda today. I also want to remind you all that if you want to get in touch with myself or Robert, certainly you can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. I'll be posting the YouTube link today. It is up and running. But also you can call the show at, I was about to give my phone number out. Call the show at 855-525-5683. I don't mind giving you my number, but the problem is I won't answer it right now because I am doing a radio show. But yeah, you can call the show. I also go out and download the Joynet Radio app, because just like Facebook is going in and out, that Joynet Radio app typically doesn't go out. All right. So you can download the app and talk and listen to the show. You can sneak and listen to it in your office. Slide your little headphones on, and you can still listen to the show, and you won't have to do like LaTanya does sometimes. Say, what I miss. No offense, LaTanya. You know I love you. Okay. So that's what's happening. By the way, just on a side note, do you remember this? And I'm going to have to clean it up a little bit. Shine, shine, your stroke so fine. You missed one stroke and it's mine.
No.
You know where that came from?
No.
You know what that's called?
No.
It's called signifying. Okay? You don't remember the guy by the name of Dolomite?
I do remember Dolomite.
Remember the movie Dolomite? Rudy Ray Moore?
I do remember that.
So the story of Rudy Ray Moore is about to be in theaters. And Eddie Murphy is playing the lead role.
Eddie Murphy playing D-Mike.
It's gonna be. I already know it's gonna be on point. There are some trailers out there and everything.
All right.
Oh man, I died laughing the other night.
Really?
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet.
So Dolomite is coming to the screen, but it's actually about Rudy Ray Moore, and a lot of people don't know about Rudy Ray Moore. And when we were growing up, Rudy Ray Moore was the first to have X-rated radio records.
Right.
And nobody would play him.
Totally X-rated.
I mean, totally X-rated.
Not like a comedian.
So
right.
what the rappers are doing now,
Rudy Ray Moore is
Rudy Ray, that was in the 60s and 70s, okay? And nobody thought, he couldn't get it played, obviously, because of the FCC rules and things of that nature. And he ended up driving around to radio stations and literally selling his product out of his trunk. So rappers, by the way, what you did ain't nothing new, all right? And he became rich and famous just by selling his own product, all right? So, and everybody knows about, and by the way, that little saying I just used, that's about Shine, one of his characters, who was on a boat. It was referring to the Titanic.
Okay.
And they go into this little thing. Another part of it is, Captain, have you heard? We have struck an iceberg. Things, stuff like that. So that's coming out, and I'm pretty excited about that. And then the other thing is Coming to America 2 is coming to a theater near you sometime next year. A movie that I think should have had a second hit long time ago, but never did. And it looks like most of the people that were in the movie, if they're still alive, are going to come back to reprise their roles. And I believe Wesley Snipes is going to be in one of those two movies as well. So that's just an update. I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan. I'm a little disappointed that he hadn't done any real good movies as of late, but it's great to see that. One other thing about let's see, what was the other thing I was gonna address about the movies? It has slipped my mind. But anyway, so those are some of the updates that's gonna be happening here real soon. So I hope you all will get out and support these worthwhile ventures. Okay? All right, so let's see. Let's do Black Facts. How about that? All right? I was going through and trying to decide which Black Fact I'd do. All right, so today's Black Fact will be an international Black Fact. And the fact of the matter is, the reason I'm doing an international Black Fact is because we're going to talk a little bit about Israel today. And this particular Black Fact is about Cush, the Cushite people. You know, Cush was located, if you look at the second cataract, third, fourth, and fifth cataract from the Red Sea and the Nile, then that's where Cush is located. All right. By the way, I've told you all over and over again that Cush is actually Ethiopia. And that's what they were referring to in the Bible. But y'all didn't know that. So here's the Black Fact. Cushite delegation on a Persian relief from the Apadana Palace. The Meroitic language was spoken in Mero and Sudan during the Meroitic period. It became extinct about 400 AD. The language was written in two forms of the Meroitic alphabet. Meroitic cursive, which was written with a stylus and was used for general record keeping, and the Meroitic hieroglyphic, which was carved in stone and used. We just heard all of that. It was carved in stone and was used for general record keeping.
My bad, I apologize.
I'm sorry. It was carved in stone and used for royal and religious documents. Now that's interesting. Religious documents by the Cushite people were carved in stone. You don't say. It is not well understood due to the scarcity of bilingual text. The earliest inscriptions of the Meroitic writing dates between 180 and 170 BC. These hieroglyphics were found engraved in the temple of Queen Shanakakadita. I've heard that name somewhere before. The cursive writing was horizontal and reads from right to left. By the 3rd century BC, a new indigenous alphabet, the Meroitic, consisting of 23 letters, replaced Egyptian script. Meroitic is an alphabet originally derived from Egyptian hieroglyphs that was used to write the Meroitic language of the kingdom of Mero and Cush. It was developed in the Napatan period about 700 BC. By the way, that means BC, that means before Christ. Okay? The first appears in the 2nd century BC. For a time, it was also possibly used to write the old Nubian language or of the successor Nubian kingdoms. Now, why am I giving you that Black Fact? I wanted to give that to you because you all don't understand that you were here long before anybody else. You were charting the stars. You were practicing medicine. You were practicing architecture, archaeology, you name it. It was happening in Cush, in sub-Sahara. Okay? Egypt is a derivative of Cush and Sudan. I told you all a few weeks ago that there are more pyramids in Sudan than anywhere else in Africa.
I'm still stuck on Kush.
Not that kind, right?
I'm not that kind.
No. Okay.
Moving right along.
So, as I said, in the Bible, most Bibles will refer to Cush, Ethiopia as Cush, but just so you know that when you read your Bible and you see the word Cush or Cushite, that means black folks. Okay? Specifically in a region which is sub-Sahara. And that's our Black Fact for today.
You put it down.
All right, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Just quickly, I got a lot of headlines. So today's show is going to deal with a lot of headlines. And by the way, I want to thank all you people who enjoyed the show yesterday and reached out to me, wanted to. I'm sorry, I'm a busy person. I can't sit on the phone and talk to you. If I talked to everybody that called me for 20, 30 minutes, I'd get nothing done. So if I was a little short with some of you yesterday, I've got contracts I'm putting together and things of that nature. This is a busy season
you
for
ain't
me.
got time for people, what you saying?
I ain't got time for you if you ain't got no money.
Dang, you are not for the cause. You are straight.
Hey, I'm doing Jay-Z, baby.
You are straight capitalist.
No, I'm just busy, but I always tell people that you're more than welcome to call me whenever you want. So if I was short with you, I didn't mean to.
I will call you.
But sometimes I'm a busy person. All right.
What you got? I know you got some good stuff today.
So where do we start? I really want to start with.
I knew you were gonna do this. I knew you were gonna start with the Islamic folk.
No, I want to start with Israel.
I knew you were gonna start with that.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Well, let me before, because once we get into that and this other stuff, we might not cover some of my other stuff I want to cover. So let me just see here.
Yeah, cover the other stuff.
Let's see here. What do I want to cover? Oh, I mentioned earlier that 6 weeks paid leave is opposed by people who have 33 weeks of paid leave.
Okay, explain it to me again. 6
Okay.
weeks of paid leave.
Right. So there was a proposal put forward by Congress, well, someone in Congress, who wanted. They were talking about potentially having 6 weeks of paid leave. Okay. And anytime minimum wage comes up to be increased, we saw that right here in Arkansas, that the voters, the people went out and voted for an increase in the minimum wage. And your state legislators decided that that ain't good enough. They don't care what the people said. So this is typical, this 6 week paid leave as opposed to them getting, they get 33 weeks of paid leave, man.
Yeah, they love paid leave, my friend.
But we're not getting enough. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't know if you've seen the video of the Illinois students in the racist. Where I tell you what, let's just play this, Robert.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if we can get it. Here we go.
Okay.
I guess I need to turn the volume on first. Here we go. Here we go. So,
Okay.
why am I playing that? Those are two young white girls.
Okay.
Now, why would two young white girls, who clearly, if you saw their picture, they couldn't have been no more than 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
They couldn't have known much about slavery
Okay.
unless they were taught in school, which we know they don't teach that type of stuff in school.
Okay.
All right? So why would two white girls decide that we should bring back slavery? And then, of course, you heard at the end, we hate N-words. Why would they do that? Why do you think, Robert?
I don't know, man. I mean,
You're good at making excuses for white people.
I don't think I've ever made excuses for white people. I don't think I've ever done
I'm
that.
just messing with you.
It'd be hard for me to do that either.
Yeah, because, boy, you have to have a whole long list. But why do you think those young white girls would be saying something?
I can't imagine. What would make them say something like that. Honestly, I can't imagine.
Well, one of them complained, her last name was Goldsboro, and her name is Gabby Goldsboro. The other one was Macy Castleman. She said, that was 2 years ago. That was like 2 years ago, and I'm being completely honest. I don't remember that at all. She also adds, and I love it when they go here, I have black people in my family. You can say it was an inside joke, really? Or think it's funny, but it's not.
Oh, man. you know, I don't. You know, I'm really. You know, I'm really, 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 really sensitive about throwing a race card. You know, I'm really sensitive about putting that label of racist on people. I really am. I really am. Because I'm gonna say this: when I was 17, 16, 15, 19, 21, I did some really stupid stuff, and I said some really stupid stuff, right? And I would not want some of those things I did then to define me, right? Now, have I said things like that and done things like that? Yeah, I'm thinking about a couple of things that I've done.
So you use racial slurs against white folks?
I use racial slurs, yeah. Not against just racial slurs, period, right? But God, if I had been raised during this time of, you know, camera phones and all that, I mean, God only knows where I'd be right now. I mean, this is a totally different world we live in. And kids, black kids and white kids alike. And unfortunately, what was disappointing about this is that often white kids get a pass and black kids don't always get that same pass.
That's part of my point.
And that's what's disappointing me with this whole thing. Is that I would not like us to judge her on that stupid moment right there. Because maybe it was just a teenager being a teenager. I don't know.
Well, could be. You could give her the benefit of that on that. But the reason I highlighted that, because that reminds me of every time we see one of these instances with young white people, whether it be girl or boy, everybody wants to say, oh, well, they're just young. They were young. They didn't know any better.
I'm not saying they didn't know any better.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but there's a bigger picture for me here. Just like those boys in Charlottesville when they were walking around and you will not replace us. Those were young white males. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that while black people are running around trying to sing Kumbaya and join hands with white folks, it's pretty clear what they're teaching their children. It's pretty clear, okay? And I've said it over and over again that if you want to get rid of racism, white people have to get rid of racism. They created it. It manifests in their organizations, their businesses. They have to get rid of it. Black people, look, of all the efforts over the decades that black people have tried to get rid of racism, it has fallen on deaf ears. So if we want to get rid of racism, then white people have to do it. And if you're teaching your children that, which it's clear that you are, whether that case doesn't, but I can go case after case where you are, therein lies the problem.
You know, man, that's problematic for me because I think we live in a world that profits from isms. It profits from isms, you know, be it racism, classism, ageism, some ism. We profit from it, or someone's profiting from the ism. So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to sit here and be comfortable saying white people have to get rid of racism. That's not easy.
Well, who gets rid of it?
Man, I don't know. But if something impacts my life,
who created it?
If something impacts my life in such a dramatic way, in such a permanent way, to some degree, if they kill me, then I wouldn't put it in the hands of the very people who you say, if you're saying it's white people who created the whole thing, then I wouldn't give them an opportunity to do that.
No, I'm not saying it. That's a fact. Where did it come from? It didn't come from Africa. When white people went into Africa, Africa opened it. Those kings and queens opened their arms to white people and welcomed them. It was only when white people realized that they could manipulate and abuse Africa that they decided to create a system where they could destroy Africa. Remember the other day, we just talked about France talking about giving all of those artifacts back to Benin and other African countries.
I love white people.
Good for you.
I got something to read to y'all.
Is this?
I love white people.
Is this?
Yes, this is my white friends texting. Now listen to the show.
Good.
Text this. You ready?
Good.
So apparently, I can take a video of 2 black youths and say that it's all black people. Y'all go deeper for sake. Talk about the liberals that send their kids to private schools but preach tolerance and equality. Yes, white folks have to work on this, but don't use this video. But this video is flawed, and fans of Flames is biased.
Oh, really? Okay. Here's another one. Here's another one for you. A white woman's scathing social tone deaf review of a plantation tour was met with outrage this week after droves of readers rushed to inform her that such an experience isn't meant to be viewed like an amusement park. Okay? In other words, here's the title of this article. White woman complains about feeling bashed about slavery during plantation tour. That's tone deaf. Okay? You feel, wait a minute, you're going and going to a plantation. Number one, I don't go to plantation tours. In fact, when I was in Nashville, they would have jazz concerts at some of the plantations.
Why not?
I don't go.
Why? What do you got against plantations?
What did you just call it?
What do you have against plantations?
What did you just call it?
What do you have against it?
It's a plantation.
My dad lived on Plantation
Okay.
Street a long time ago. That was not a plantation.
I would not have lived there.
We were very...
I would not have lived there. And you know, and look, and I understand what your friends are saying, but here's the bottom line, okay? Every time you see a black kid, do you generalize? I love it when white people, you get upset. You get upset
Right.
when people put all of you all in one boat, but we've lived in a country that typically puts all black people in one boat. You don't do anything about it. My point being is this: if you're not doing anything to solve the problem, then you're part of the problem. Okay? So to just, and this thing about liberal and I don't give a damn about that crap. Okay?
Can't make a... She said, but you're making this one person equal all white people.
Well, tell us what you've done to solve racism, ma'am. Tell us what you've done to solve. By the way, when Black Lives Matter was marching downtown, did you go and march? Hello?
You are a gangster.
When Wesley Blackshire was murdered by the cops, did you go down to the Civil Service Commission and stand with Rozelle Aaron and his and that boy's mother and say this was wrong? I doubt it. That's my point. White people made racism. If you want to get rid of racism, you have to fix it. Period. What are you laughing at? She can't take it.
I can't take it.
I wonder why. You know, that old saying, if the shoe fits. You know, here's the thing. You know, people make generalizations. You know, I've been in this business a long time. And I cut my teeth on white radio stations. And it fascinated me when white people would meet me out at a remote or something, and they'd say, "Oh, I didn't know you were black. Oh, you're not like other black people."
That's funny.
Come on, man. If you want to solve this problem, why don't you join people who are fighting racism? Period. End of story. If you want to fix racism, you have to fix it. Black folks have spent their lives, generations, to fight racism, and we have not gotten anywhere. It's still here. We have a president that's clearly a racist. Did you vote for Mr. Trump? Are you going to your white friends and saying, "Hey, look, that guy's a racist. He's doing more to damage race relations than anybody in modern times"?
Why are you attacking our listeners, Dave?
I'm attacking her comments. Because if we want to solve this problem, these are conversations we have to have. You can't hide behind, let's not talk about that. You're generalizing. No, I simply asked a question. And every white person that says, "Well, I'm not like that," when you see a black boy being shot for holding a cell phone or for walking down the street, or in fact, I just read a story the other day where police stopped a brother because a white woman called and said, "Hey, he looks suspicious." What does looking suspicious mean? Racism is alive and well, and the only way you can stop it is white people. Period. You created it. That's almost like Frankenstein. You know, Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein was the only one who knew how to kill Frankenstein. All them other people were trying to kill Frankenstein. Well, you know, Dr. Frankenstein could kill Frankenstein. You know why? Because Dr. Frankenstein made Frankenstein. That's the point. You created this monster. Everybody else is having to deal with this monster. Okay? We got our pitchforks and torches running up to the council. Oh, let's kill Dr. Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein. Come on, folks. This y'all monster. Donald Trump is y'all Frankenstein. You want to stop it? Then join all the other black people. Look, I tell you what, the Bradley Blackshear hearing, the follow-up hearing is going to be, I believe it's September 4th. So if you really want to show us that you believe that everybody's equal, you believe that.
Some people really believe that.
Yeah, but believing and fact are two different things, okay? If you really believe that everybody is equal and everybody is going to get the same tier, let me ask you a question, Robert White's friend. If you had an opportunity, if someone came to you and waved a magic wand and said, hey, I'm going to make you black for a month, would you do it? Hell no. You know how I know you wouldn't do it? Because that question has been asked on many surveys over and over again. That one particular question was asked to a guy and said, even if you had Michael Jordan's wealth, would you trade spaces with Michael Jordan? You know what that person said?
Great comment right here.
Wait, hang on. You know what that person said?
But,
no.
yeah, I get that. But you know what? I wouldn't want to be white either. It has nothing to do with anything else. I mean, I wouldn't want to be white. I love being black. And I'm sure people who are white love being white for whatever reason.
That's not the point of the question, though.
Well, what's the point of the question?
The point of the question is about the socioeconomic stress that black people go through.
By the way, Dave, she texted hell yes.
Hell yes, what?
To being black.
Oh.
Just saying, Dave.
Jungle fever?
You are sick. Hey, got another friend that said racism is just one type of an apparently innate human tendency to favor the tribe somebody perceives as a tribe.
What you mean, tribe?
Belongs to. All humans show a tendency towards in-group, out-of-group bias.
That's not racism.
How so not?
That is not racism. Racism is, let me educate you again, not you.
Yeah, you educate me too, because I'm not an expert on racism. I'm just an expert on hate.
Racism is a social construct designed to keep a certain group of people down. So that means racism is in your banks. That's called redlining. Racism is in your police force. That's called police brutality. It is in every systematic thing that has been created in America. And anyone who supports or uplifts that system is supporting racism. That's what racism is. So I can't be racist to white people. I can be prejudiced, but I can't be racist to them. There's a distinct difference. So if you're saying, well, people are racist to me, when was the last time? And we had Dr. DeGrye to talk about this. In fact, I'm going to pull up that piece in a little bit when we go to break. Dr. DeGrye talked about this. Where is it that I keep you from getting a bank loan? Where is it that I keep you from getting a car loan? Where is it that you have to be concerned about police brutality? It just doesn't happen to white people. That's what racism is. And I find it fascinating because black people don't even know what racism is sometimes. I agree with you. Everything is not racist.
Nah, not everything.
Okay?
Not everything.
Everything is not racist. But when you support a system that is systematically and purposely, another one just hit me. Voter suppression. Is that not racism? Of course it is. It is done through the system.
I don't think voter suppression is racist.
It's part of the system.
It's not
okay?
I don't think voter suppression
Where did it come
has
from?
anything to do with race.
Where did it come from?
I think I'm talking about today's voter suppression, not the voter suppression of 1962 or 19.
So what you're saying is that you're saying that the
I think it's made a transformation.
So why is Stacey Abrams? Why is Stacey Abrams fighting voter suppression? Why has she put together a nonprofit organization to fight it? Why did Stacey Abrams in Georgia?
But that voter suppression, it wasn't just black people. It was also white people. But again, it was anybody who voted for the opposing party. That, in my opinion, was not just about black folks. That was just about anybody who wasn't going to vote for a Republican.
Okay, tell me when the last time you heard someone suppressing white voters?
Yeah, it happens if they're
When?
a Democrat.
When?
In this case, there were some white voters too. It wasn't all black.
That might have affected them.
It wasn't all black.
But we saw that in Mississippi. We saw it in Florida. We saw it in Alabama. We saw
But
it over and over
This
again.
is another one of those things I'm talking about, right? Where sometimes we label certain things racism, and it's just me trying to make sure I win.
When you
And so, unfortunately, I know black folks ain't vote for Republicans, right? I
Some
know they
are.
ain't voting for Republicans, so I'm gonna do everything I can to keep them from going to the polls, and they ain't got nothing to do with what color they are. It's just period. I just don't need all of them to come up to show up and vote because I might lose. So I need to figure out as many ways as I can to keep them from the polls, and it has nothing to do with what color they are. It's just that I want to win. Right now, you can say it's racist, and to some degree, it probably is. But at the end of the day, if I'm a Republican and I want to win, and I know the overwhelming majority of black folks don't vote for Republicans, then guess what I need to figure out? I need to figure out a way to keep them from voting because I need to win.
Okay, so you just made my point. If overall majority of black folks are not voting for me, then I'm gonna suppress their vote.
And not because they're black, but because of who
Wait
they
a
don't vote
minute,
for.
you just said it.
But I'm just saying,
Well,
not because they're black.
So why aren't they supporting? Why aren't they suppressing white votes?
Well, aren't they?
Yes.
We don't know that they're not.
Okay. You remember what happened in the last election in Mississippi?
So let me give you a great example. They changed polling places. They've changed polling places a couple of times in Little Rock. They've changed these polling places just from one election cycle to the next, right? And to me, that's a great form of voter suppression because some people ain't gonna even worry about trying to find out where the other place is. They're like, screw it, I'll do it next time, right?
Where did they change those polling places? What particular communities?
Well, actually, when they did the one in Southwest, that's a mixed community. It's not like overwhelming majority black. I mean,
It's
that's a nice little
black
mix.
and brown.
Black, brown, and there's some white people.
Yeah, there are a few white people there, but that's overwhelmingly
But
black
still,
and brown.
I mean, it impacted white folks as well. But my point is that this one we try to make be a black issue alone, and I don't always think it's just a black issue alone. I think it's just a Democrat Republican issue. If you happen to be a Democrat, then yeah, we got you.
So if I target your community to keep it from doing something, that's not racism?
You could say it, but again, Dave.
If a white establishment targets your dark community,
Okay, let me give you.
and it doesn't target. Well, let me ask my question.
Let me say this.
If a white establishment, let's say Republicans, since we're talking about that, and they purposely pass laws to target black voters, because if you remember the election in Mississippi, they closed literally all of the polling places except 3 in
I'm
Mississippi.
not saying it's always that,
Okay.
but let me tell you this: if I'm running as a Democrat, right, and I look at the numbers and I realize that there are more Republicans in my district than Democrats, and I don't think I've done a very good job of pulling Democrats to my side, then I'm thinking to myself, what can I do to suppress their vote? What can I possibly do to make sure that a bunch of them don't show up, right? What can I do? And that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's just a basic strategy to try to win. What can I do to slow that momentum? That's how I look at it.
That's
right?
that's racism, Robert. I'm sorry, I don't agree with you.
Why is it racist?
Because if you're targeting a set group of people to keep them from exercising their right to vote, because they don't vote for you,
Am I going to be able to upgrade my black card?
you're about to lose it.
I want to upgrade my black card.
By the way, if you'd like to take Robert Webb's place on Black Focus, call 615. No, I'm just kidding. But the point is, you know, look. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I believe it or not, I have white friends too.
I know you do.
Believe it or not, they listen to this show.
I agree.
You'd be shocked how many of them call me periodically and say, "Hey man, I loved the show the other day. You're right on point."
Okay.
Okay. So tell your little white friends that's listening. tell
Why
them.
you attacking my white friends?
Because
can I attack your white friends?
You can attack them all you want. They
see the white people have done. They done pitted us against each other.
see that. See what they did. See what they did. See.
I'm just kidding.
But my point is this, and I say this all the time. You know that old saying, "Hit dogs will bark." You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I go to a lot of, because I was raised in a lot of white environments. Okay. I talk a lot about, my mom started sending me to Camp Grundy out there by out on Maumelle when I was 10 years old. I was the only black kid there for 3 years.
Okay.
I caught hell, bro. Okay? And you know why she sent me? She said, Dave, I'm sending you to this camp because you need to learn how to deal with white people. Okay?
How did it work out?
I have quite a few. Look, I was the guy who, that if we were at a pickup basketball game and a white guy walked up and I thought he could play,
the white guy over you?
I'd pick him. If it was my up, I'd pick him. You know, that's how I am. So when you listen to me and you think, oh, well, he just don't like white. No, I don't judge you. I judge you on your actions. Okay? And unfortunately, it frustrates, part of the reason I work in the inner city and work with young black males, because I'm trying to change their actions. Because their actions dictate to other people what those people might think about me.
No, I get that.
You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to tell white people is that if you tell me that you're not racist, you tell me that you don't fit that mold that people are saying, my only question to you then will be, what are you doing to change the system? And if you tell me nothing, if you're not going out and look, I can tell you a lot of times where I went to white events, supported white candidates. How many black candidates have your friends or other white people who are listening supported? That's what I'm saying. If you tell me you're not racist, don't tell me you're racist. You're not. Show me you're not. That's all I'm saying. Those young ladies, when was the last time they shopped at a black business other than a restaurant?
Now see that one I don't agree with, because I don't want you to shop with me. If you don't want to shop with me, I don't want you to shop.
I understand that. But what I'm simply saying is that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And the problem in America, whether you want to agree with it or not, is racism. It has always been that way. I've got a story that I'm going to talk about. Think about it from this perspective.
Okay.
If black people owned as much wealth as white people, you know how much that would contribute to the national economy?
No, tell me.
$1.5 trillion. So it's in the best interest of America to try and bring black people up to that socioeconomic status.
See, that's where we differ, right? I really think that for black folks to come up, that's something that we have to work together to do.
I agree with that. I agree with all of that.
I don't think anybody can help us get there.
I agree with all of that. What I'm simply saying is that when you want to holler this thing, well, we're all Americans, well, what are you doing to help all Americans?
I get that.
That's my point.
But it's I don't know. It's problematic for me. It's always been problematic for me when we talk about this. Because, man, this is always a tough issue. Racism and how it looks and what it is and how it actually smells and tastes is always tough to have a conversation around. And the reason why for me is because sometimes I just feel like there are things that we can do as a people that we wouldn't have to worry about some of the crap.
I agree.
We're dealing with, right?
I agree.
And so if we're not having that conversation, I think all the other conversations kind of make us look foolish in even having them, because we're not working to better the situation, try to make the situation better, or try to improve the situation.
So what did you just say?
It kind of bothers me that
You just generalized all black people.
Why you say that?
Because you said we're not.
Yeah, because that's what I believe. I believe that we're not collectively working as a people
Okay.
to improve the conditions.
And I believe that white people are not collectively working to solve racism.
And probably, and I definitely would agree with you on
But that's the point I'm making.
But my point.
Tell your friend if she's listening. That's the point.
But my point
Okay.
my point is, I don't really care about what they do because I can't control what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel to some degree, I can control what we do as a people. I can control what white people do. I can control what they think. I can control how they feel. I have no control over that. But I like to think that collectively we can control the views and hopes and aspirations of black folks, and that way we can make progress. That's really, truly how I feel. Because sometimes I think the conversation gets lost when we start talking about the role that white folk play. Because I don't really care to have, I don't really care to have them to be a part of the solution. As us working together collectively for the solution, I'd rather.
Oh, that's racist, Robert. You don't want white people to help you. That's racist.
I'd rather for black folks. I'd rather for black folks to work collectively and address some of our social ills, and I think addressing some of those social ills will in turn help us do some other things.
So let me ask you a question. There's a method to my madness. What social is?
I think
talking about-
in the black community.
Okay. Now, black people can certainly address that.
Education.
Okay.
Our kids not being properly educated.
Okay. Who's educating our people?
But that's not the point. That's not the point. Because again,
Whose schools are they going to?
That's not the point. The point is we pay for where they go. We pay for the people who teach them.
I agree.
None of that matters, right? It's just us coming up with a plan saying, hey, we're no longer going to accept substandard quality education. We're no longer going to accept it, right? But we haven't done that yet, not collectively. You know, you got Anika out there, you got some other people out there who are fighting against education. But there is no collective effort around, let's improve education for all kids. Because I think to some degree,
They don't want to educate your children.
well, how can we, this is the thing for me. You can't tell me somebody doesn't want to do anything when I'm paying them to do that very thing.
I just did.
No.
You know why I know that?
How do you know that?
White flight. What would happen? I love this part of this conversation.
Let's go there.
Well, I've
Let's go there.
had plenty of these conversations.
Okay.
So, what would happen? Because part of the reasons that the schools are suffering is because of the resources that have been taken away from the schools.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree.
That means white bodies. Okay?
Okay.
So, what would happen if we close all private schools?
Well, you can't close private schools. But you said,
I'm just saying.
hypothetically.
Why did those private schools come about?
Well, I don't think the private schools are that big of an impact.
Wait a minute.
You still have the number of.
Why did they come about?
You still have the same number of private schools you had before.
Why did they come about?
Now you're talking about charter schools. That's totally different.
Why did private schools?
Charter schools are having a greater impact on public schools than private.
They are now. But why did private schools come about?
But see, again, Dave,
Sir, will you answer the question,
because
please?
The argument you're making is baseless, and the reason
It is not baseless. It's factual.
No, the argument you're making is baseless.
Why did
Let me
private
tell you why.
schools
Hold on,
come
hold on.
about?
Let me tell you why I say that. Because if you look at East End, if you look at East End, Lisa Academy, Quest, if you look at all these charter schools, that's the real reason we're losing the resources.
Nope.
Yeah, because think about this. The sales tax money, the money for the schools, that money still goes there, whether their kids go there or not.
Were you at
that? Doesn't change.
Were you at that event a couple of years ago at Philander when they were talking about fighting charter schools and they ran that video? Remember that video prior? I don't know if you were there. Okay, were you there?
Huh?
Were you there? Are you here?
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, so part of that video clearly stated, which I already knew, part of the reason that the school systems are suffering is because of white flight. That's not me saying
But
it.
how is that the problem, though?
Because let me tell you why it's the problem.
Okay.
Because white flight took resources from the public school system.
Like what?
Let me give you, I'm getting there. So you know why we have charter schools now? Because it got to a point where white people could not afford those exorbitant private school fees. They began,
That's the argument, right?
they began to go to their legislators and say, hey, look, we need some type of relief. That's how charter schools became viable.
Okay. So,
That's not me saying it.
hold on.
That's a fact.
So when the charter schools started in Arkansas, ACO, or at that time Acorn, lobbied for them. And the premise was is that these schools would be like they would work to come up with creative ideas to educate urban youth, right? Urban rural youth. They would come up with these creative ideas. Well, ACO supported that, but it has mushroomed into something else, right?
Because they saw a way to make their schools the way they wanted them. So, and they could exclude black people based on BS type reasoning.
If that's what you want to say, but
that's a fact. That's not me saying it.
My thing is that if you the tax dollars that fund public schools, your real estate taxes, your personal property taxes, all that money, regardless, still goes to school districts. None of that has changed, right? Now, school districts...
Except for the amount of real estate. Because many of those white folks... I will, but many of those white folks have moved out to the suburbs or outside the county. So, yeah, that has changed to some extent.
Now, when you start talking about white flight as it respects to the city of Little Rock, now we get back into another social issue of our city, right? We don't have quality housing for middle class Americans. Well, I shouldn't say that. We don't have quality housing for middle class white folks.
White flight didn't start last year. White flight started back in the 60s.
If we're going to have a conversation, we got to have a realistic conversation.
Okay.
So when we start talking about white flight,
you saying I'm not realistic?
No.
Is that what you said? Oh.
But the thing is that when you look at the data, right? When you look at the data, the numbers in Arkansas have not changed. When I say the numbers, what I mean by that is the same amount of people we had when I was in school. Those numbers have increased. Yeah, true enough. Those numbers have increased. But overall, the money going into the district has never changed, right? Only thing that has changed is that, well, I shouldn't say that. The money going into the district has changed because technically they're getting more that goes into that pot of money. Unfortunately, because of the charter schools, they're losing the money that they were getting before because that money now goes to charter schools, right? Now, you say it's the fault of white flight. No, it's the fault of the public school system. It's not anybody. You can't blame anybody else because the thing is, what bothers me about that if I blame white people for that one, then I'm pretty much saying that if white people come back, we'll have a better school district. See, that bothers me.
Let me ask you a question.
That bothers me.
If you're driving down the street and you run over somebody, do you blame the truck or do they blame you?
If I run over somebody?
Yeah.
It depends. If he should have been looking for me, I'm bigger than he is. So I would blame him.
So you can't blame the school system. You blame the people that's running the school system. Okay? The people that are involved in the school system. Now, I'll agree with you today that if black people got more involved in the school system, it would change part of that problem. Okay? But what I'm saying to you, that part of the reason that we're in this situation, white flight and charter schools, private schools, came out of the fact that white people did not want their children going to school with black children. One other story that came out of that.
Do you think it was that, or they just want their kids to have a better education?
And black people didn't? You're suggesting that when black people came to school, then all of a sudden white people thought that because black people are here, they're not going to have they're not going to have a good education. That's what you just said.
Technically, my point is. Let me make sure I make my point.
No, I'm saying what you just said.
I'm thinking about something else.
You quit texting that woman.
No. So technically, what happens is that I can't make the argument because it's like this. It's almost like you're saying to me that if white folks are not there, then it's not as good.
No, I didn't. That's not what I'm saying.
I know you're not saying
there were more black people going to college and getting degrees when they were going to shoddy schools, getting hand-me-down books than there are now per capita. Would you agree with that?
I disagree with that.
So it has nothing to do with white folks coming back to make it better. I'm just simply saying that if we are Americans and if we want to follow the mantra that white people like to throw out, that we're all in the same boat, then okay, let's get in the same boat.
We already know we're in the same boat.
Bring your white... Exactly. Exactly. What caused it? What caused? See, my thing is this.
Your thing is you want to make them all accountable.
No. I certainly want to hold them accountable, but I also want to hold black folks accountable. I'm saying, why are you sending your children to a school when you can make your own schools?
Yeah, I don't really care about that.
I've been saying that.
But my point is I'm not about recreating systems. Let's just fix the one we already got, right? Because trying to fix the system or trying to create a whole nother school. I mean, think about all the kids that fall through the cracks when we're trying to put that.
Do they want to fix the system?
I don't think that should be the question. The question is, what are we going to do to fix the system?
Well,
regardless.
you can ask that question, which is a valid question, but also the people in charge have got to want to fix the system. My argument is that they don't want to fix the system. You know why? Because many of them are making millions of dollars off of not fixing the system. It's the same as locking up black boys to private prisons. They don't when I was in Nashville and I would go down to juvenile court and talk to those young black males, and then I would go in and talk to the administrator. They come in and say, "Dave, you're doing a great job. I love that program you're doing." And I'd ask the question, "Okay, that's great. What type of rehab do y'all have for these young males?" And I will tell you that at that time, Nashville was being ran, the juvenile justice system was ran by CCA of America, a private prison. We're not doing any rehab. Well, why aren't you doing rehab? Well, we just don't have the resources. Really? Oh, okay. So here's the bottom line to that.
Okay.
So if I get a 13-year-old boy, and by the way, in Nashville, they were throwing the incorrigible youth in with someone who may have gotten in trouble at school. So in other words, didn't matter how bad you were, they were lumping them all together. And they were coming out worse than they were when they were going in. So my point being is this, that okay, if you're not doing any rehab or education in the private prisons, see, their logic is, if I don't rehab them, if I don't give them, educate them, then guess what? They're going to come to my big prison where at that time the state of Tennessee was paying $25,000 a year per inmate. You see what I'm saying? So if you really want to fix the system, then you got to fix the cause of the system. And my argument, because look, how many of these people, how many of your state legislators and representatives are making money from private prisons? Right now, 11 out of the 13 private prisons that are holding immigrants,
Right.
those are private prisons.
Private prisons make money.
They're making money. If you were an investor,
And I'm a capitalist.
Right.
And if I can get a private prison.
right? If you are an investor,
You best know the
well, look, if you are an investor and you are serious about investing, one of the top investments is private prisons.
Yeah, that's a good money maker.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Because you know the system is broken and the system is always going to.
So you're going to make money off it. Exactly. So my point,
that's a great investment.
my overall point is this.
Okay.
Is that when we talk about, oh, it's not a black thing, it's a white thing, if we're not all working together to fix the problem, then yeah, it's going to split.
I don't want to work with anybody. I want to fix my problems by
You
myself.
live in America that is based on racism. If they wanted to fix the problem in the black community, they could fix it. Look, we don't have any guns. We don't make any guns. We don't have any poppy fields in the black community.
I'm gonna make one point to you.
Okay.
You've been to Southwest, right?
Southwest.
Yeah, Southwest.
Yeah, I've been to Texas.
You've been to Little Mexico, right? You've been to Little Mexico.
What's Little Mexico?
Southwest Little Rock. You've been to Little Mexico, right? How many people do they have on the city board? How many Hispanics on the city board?
I agree with all of them.
How many Hispanics on the foreign court?
I agree with all of
How
them.
many Hispanics serve in the House of Representatives, the state House of Representatives? How many Hispanics are state senators?
It's funny you're making my point I made the other day, but go ahead.
What's that? What was your point the other day? I missed it.
Because
It's
about economics.
It's all economics, and
I agree.
It's all about a collective mission.
So if I never teach you about economics, if I degrade you, if I keep you from moving ahead, then the question is, as Lyndon Johnson said, if I teach you that you're better than the best black man,
Right.
then you will open up, the poorest white man will open up his pockets in order to let me take his money.
I don't disagree.
That is a systematic thing that has been going on.
Racism pays, bro.
What did you just say?
It pays.
What was that? What was that R word?
I just said.
What was that
I
R
said
word?
All the isms pay.
What did you? No, don't try to.
No.
What was that R word?
Racism,
Bingo.
ageism, sexism, all the isms pay.
Bingo.
They pay. They pay.
But nothing has paid more. None of the isms has paid more than racism, and it continues to pay. That's why your president runs on it.
Yeah.
You see?
He's catering to his base. You can't get mad at that man for that. Catering to his base.
We got to take a break, and then we'll be back
Get your break on, Black.
Tell your friend to call the show. I don't bite.
You're so sad.
I'm actually a nice guy, white girlfriend. I'm a fun guy to be around. I like to play charades. I do all of that stuff. I play Monopoly.
Jesus.
Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be back in a moment. We're talking just in general about certain things. I do want to talk a little bit about this Israel thing too.
And I know you do.
You know, I just got to throw that out there as well.
Okay.
855-525-5683 is the number. When you listen to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. And by the way, we're having a Black March next week. We need some white folks there.
Well, you have a Black March yet.
I don't know, we're just a field.
You are sick.
You know, someone said, Colin Kaepernick, you don't use that platform to protest. So
your boy did that.
So I found a place where we can go protest. It's a big field and stuff. It's owned by a white guy, but I'm gonna pay him a little bit. We can protest as long as we don't sing "We Shall Overcome" and "Kumbaya." Back in a moment.
You are sick. You are sick.
Oh man.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready from Sumter, South Carolina. It's
Woo, it is hot in here today.
We got a Facebook page?
Black Focus Facebook page.
We do?
Yeah.
I'll promote it. I thought I did that already.
Yeah, it's a Black Focus Facebook page. I typically need to start. I ain't gonna do that one. Yeah, you're right, Tanya. Poor white folks are getting a bad deal as well. That's why, Dr. King was killed. And by the way, Reverend Barber, I meant to keep that article. Reverend Barber last week came out and said he's trying to unite po whites and po blacks. I did say po. What would happen if that happened? You see, because as I've said, the people in God, what is the name of that county? It's one of the poorest counties in Kentucky. 97% of the people there get food stamps.
Oh, you talking about in Kentucky?
Yeah. One of Mitch McConnell's districts. Okay.
So that's why you can see why the guy did the thing with the Russian oligarchs. Even though he needs to bring jobs back to his country.
No, that's no excuse, bro. We don't need the Russians doing that. But the point is that those people vote Republican 98% of the
Make me an
time.
admin on this page.
Okay.
So I can redo it.
Okay. All right. 98% of the time. Why do they do that? They vote against their interests. You see that in Mississippi. You see it in Alabama. You see it in Georgia. You see it all across the South. And the reason being is because the poorest white folk still believes that he's better than the richest black folk. That's racism, brother. That's pure and simple.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, I don't want to be. I just rather us do our shit and do it ourselves.
I wish we would. But I'm not letting them off the hook for what they've done to us. It's not going to happen. Sorry, it's not. You owe us reparations. You owe us money. Period. You're not getting off the hook, just like that white girl upset because she feel like going through to a museum of a plantation is beating her up. Bitch, please. Come on. You a victim. Come on now. That's ridiculous. Instead of going in there with an open mind and saying, man, human beings actually did this to other human beings. What can I do to fix this problem?
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers.
Oh, I gotta talk about
Now,
this quick.
let's get
Axl
ready to
Rose.
focus
Did you hear
on
what Axl
our
Rose did?
issues, our
Axl Rose, who does he
solutions,
sing
our
with?
voices on
Is it
Black
the
Focus Radio.
Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses? It's not the. I was thinking the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, in the break, Robert's been negotiating me. He's trying to get his black card back. He gonna have to break bread.
I can never lose my black card.
You got to break bread, bro.
I can never lose my black card.
if you know, I stole one of his lines. Say, if you feel sorry about what you've done to us, let's break bread. You know what? I'll forget about all this racism if you just cut me my reparations check. I won't do a radio show. Just give me my reparations.
Yeah, that puts stipulations. You can only get reparations if.
Mm-hmm.
If.
They? Who are they, Robert?
Who are they what?
Who are, you said they will put stipulations
Yeah,
on.
Congress gonna put stipulations.
Who is Congress?
Why do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? White people. So I'm gonna do it for you, Dave. White people, Dave.
I'm just, but you get my point, right?
Congress gonna put stipulations on that. They're just not gonna give it to you.
No. Well, look, I've told you what I do.
You can't get it if you're black.
Oh, but there you go. That just like, hey, the same old, right?
If you don't make more than $25,000,
Hey.
you can't get it.
Hey, look, Melania Trump will be getting reparations. Well, I'm from Slovenia.
If you didn't graduate high school, you can't get it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be a good thing. You know
If your
why?
grade point average was not 4.0, you can't get it.
Well, but I'm just saying, think about it. If they said if you didn't graduate high school, you can't get reparations. Can you imagine all the people going back to high school?
No.
I couldn't either.
I don't see it.
All right, just quickly, Axl Rose is my dog. All right. Now, I'll be honest. I've heard of Axl Rose, and I've listened to Guns N' Roses and things about it. It is Guns N' Roses, isn't it? I believe it is.
That's a Guns N' Roses?
But I can't say that let's put it this way. I don't have Guns N' Roses on my display.
Can you not?
On my cassette tape.
How can you not?
It's because it was
in your iTunes player?
no iTunes. What's that? So, but here's the double standard that we talk about all the time, and what I mean by this.
Okay.
So this whole immigration thing is ironic. What does Donald Trump say? He wants to stop immigration because he don't want other people coming over here having anchor babies. Okay, right? Mm-hmm. So all three of Donald Trump's children are anchor babies.
Stop, Dave. Yeah.
Are they not? We're talking facts.
That's a good point.
Okay?
That's a good point.
All right? All three of his children are anchor babies.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Both of his wives are foreigners. Okay? They're I'm not gonna call them immigrants. I'm gonna use the words that they use. Both of his wives, the former and the present, are foreigners. Right?
Okay.
His current wife came over here on a EB-1 visa. Do you know what
Marlon Maples wasn't a foreigner.
he wasn't married to Marlon Maples, was he? Were they married?
married.
Okay, well, other than that. But the three children he had was from Ivanka, or Ivana, whatever her name is. His current wife came over here on an EB-1 visa. You know what an EB-1 visa is?
No.
An EB-1
Is that the work
visa.
visa?
It's more than that.
Okay.
An EB-1 visa is called the Einstein visa. Okay? It's reserved for individuals who demonstrate extraordinary ability, and not to say that Melania hadn't exhibited extraordinary ability,
We just didn't get the experience.
but she didn't demonstrate extraordinary ability in science or art or education
What was it in?
or business
What was it in?
or athletics. Well, it could have been athletics. Okay, based on some of the pictures, she was athletic. Okay. So my point in bringing this up, and this is what I talk about the double standard here. Okay. Why aren't they bringing this up? Why isn't the white media talking about this? When you go and interview Donald Trump and you're upset about his immigration policies, why doesn't somebody ask the question?
Well,
okay, why doesn't someone ask, Mr. President?
I'm appreciative that they're not attacking their families because I don't think that's cool. That's the part of politics I really don't like is when you attack someone's family. Attack the guy who's doing the craziness. Don't attack
You're attacking him. You're asking a simple question that Mr. President.
But you're pulling a man's family into the politics.
But this is part of the politics. He created these politics. Okay?
I don't, Dave. I'm not saying I disagree.
Hey, he created these
I'm not saying I
politics.
disagree. I just think this is the part of politics I'm really not.
He created these politics.
I don't disagree, but I don't
Okay?
think you should pull people.
I understand that. But in this particular case, he created these politics by attacking immigrants. Okay? And calling African countries asshole countries.
Said illegal immigrants, so he's making the case that his wives were legal immigrants.
By the way, those visas are not lifetime.
No, I'm just saying. He said.
Did you hear what I said?
No, I'm with you. He's saying that his wives were legal immigrants.
Okay.
He's not saying
By the
his
way,
wives were illegal.
that EB-1 visa that she got initially expires after 5 years.
So is she a naturalized citizen now?
By the way,
Is
not
she
only
naturalized?
does she have an anchor baby, she also brought her parents. Now her parents are American naturalized citizens.
Okay.
Oh, that's what Donald Trump is against. My point being is that you enterprising white folks who say, oh, he's not bad, why aren't y'all asking him these questions? But I brought this up to talk about Axl Rose.
Okay.
Because here's Axl Rose. He actually, this was kind of, he said some alleged former hooker who got into some trumped up immigration con somehow deserves privacy. It means so much to her. Okay. In another tweet, he said, where's the ICE Nazi Holman when you need him? Now, he's talking about the guy who's over ICE. The question is, and he's making an excellent point, Mrs. Trump was more than amply qualified and certainly eligible, says Michael Wiles, an attorney for Melania Trump and her family, said in the Post. There is no reason to adjudicate her petition publicly. Now, wait a minute. Based on what you just heard about what an EB-1 visa is.
Mm-hmm. Why are you looking at me like that, man?
Let me go back and read what an EB-1 visa means.
Okay.
You have to exhibit extraordinary ability to get an EB-1 visa. Okay? In arts, in mathematics, in science, in education, in business, and athletics. Part of the reason that you can get so many, baseball brings so many Dominicans and Cubans over is because they get an EB-1 visa for athletics. So based on what you've seen about Melania Trump, does she fit into those categories?
I'm sure she does. She's probably very athletic.
Okay.
So I'm sure she fits.
Here's what else Axl Rose says. I'm going to start buying Guns N' Roses. I like Axl. Some alleged former hooker who got into some trumped up immigration con somehow deserves privacy. It means so much to her.
You're talking about the first lady, right?
Yeah. Because this was a trumped up visa, and you can't say she wasn't a hooker.
Come on, man.
Is that fact?
She has a son.
And that's like when I meet these when I meet these women who were strippers, and they would say, they'd have children, and I'd say, what are you gonna tell your son when he gets old enough to understand what you're doing?
We don't know for a fact she was a stripper. I mean, she was a hooker.
Really?
We don't know that for a fact. We know for a fact.
Where'd all those naked pictures come from?
She was a model.
Naked pictures.
The women who pose in Playboy aren't hookers.
All right, I just wanted to bring
Because it was
it
some
back.
pretty hot chicks in Playboy. So I didn't think it was. All right, you said that they're hookers now? They just changed the way I look at them.
Yeah, they were hooking, all right.
So let me ask you this question. So when a woman does porn, does that make her a hooker? Because she's getting paid for sex.
Let me ask you, would you marry her?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, without that.
Okay.
Especially if she got some really good videos. Why would you not?
I'm just going to say it like this.
You would marry a hooker?
Of course not.
Why?
I just...
I've never seen you stutter. Oh, my God.
I just wouldn't... I couldn't see myself marrying a hoe.
Why would she be a hooker? She's a hooker. That's not a
There are plenty of other ways you can make money.
Now you're gonna judge how they make that money. So you would not marry.
I'm talking about me.
You would not marry a call girl.
Of course not.
What about a porn star?
Of course not. Why would I want to?
What about a?
Hello.
What about a nude model?
No.
Really?
Look.
So what about a lawyer? Would you marry a lawyer? Only difference between a lawyer and a call girl is one gets screwed and one does a screwing. So what's the difference? What's the difference?
All my female lawyer friends, because they're listening, that's Robert Webb. It is not the truth.
Yeah,
they're not doing it with their bodies.
They're still doing it. So you saying what concerns you is the act of how it's done. Whether you're
I cannot
clothed or
believe.
not.
I just can't believe you just
saying.
said a lawyer and a hooker is one and the same.
One and the same.
Did you get your heart broke by a lawyer or something? did they not win the case that you were trying to get? Is that where you're going now? Because I don't know.
Really
Robert, you're too intelligent for that.
I thought you were really caring and had a lot of empathy for people, and I see now that you don't.
I have empathy for them. I'm just not going. I gotta marry them to have empathy.
Hold on. So what if you didn't know that? What if y'all got together, y'all started talking, and y'all spent a lot of time together, and you got to know her, you fell in love with her, and then right before you got married, somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I want to tell you something about your wife."
I got a question.
You know she used to be a hooker.
Okay, let me tell you something. Okay, you're gonna have to be a good one to cover that up. And me
why not? She could have did it in D.C. when she was a Heidi Fleiss hooker.
Okay, let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because I'm not in the dating scene now, but when I was in the dating scene, man, I was like a private detective. Before I called you my woman, I was researching.
So Dave, you can't say.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
You
can't say that Melania Trump is a prostitute.
She's not now.
We don't know that for a fact.
She's not now.
Dave, that lady has kids.
So do a lot of prostitutes. Just by different men.
She has a son, Dave.
She probably has a dog too. Come on, little Pookie. My whole point in this is that if you're gonna it's just the same argument I made about Asa Hutchinson and the white supremacists. Last week, Asa Hutchinson came out and claimed that he's against white supremacy. So if you're against white supremacy, Asa Hutchinson, what are you doing? I mean, this is just a journalistic question. I'm a journalist.
Yeah, but
what are you doing, Asa Hutchinson?
Just because you come out and say you're against it, and you don't do anything after that.
Exactly.
But okay.
So you haven't.
Okay, what's the point with that?
So if you're saying you're against white supremacy. There was a report that came out a few months ago that we talked about on this show that over 8,000 white supremacists have made their homes in Arkansas. Okay? So, Asa, if you're against white supremacy, what are you doing about those 8,000 white supremacists? Because if the Southern Poverty Law Center can figure out where these white supremacists are, you have much more resources than they do. Why can't you figure out a way to stop the influx of white supremacists?
There's a white supremacist. There's a Ku Klux Klan chapter in every state.
You're missing my point.
Okay.
You're missing my point. I'm simply saying, as a journalist, because of this issue of immigration, and your wife is an immigrant who clearly came here on a questionable EB-1 visa.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay. Why isn't the media asking that question?
That's a good point.
That's all I'm saying.
I think something on the immigration thing, man, I think we can take that one a bit far. Because if I'm a white dude down in East Texas, right, and I'm working at this factory, and I'm seeing every day or every so often the increase of minority workers, and they're being paid half of what I'm being paid, or half of what the guy I used to work with who was terminated, so this guy can get paid or laid off, or whatever the case is. For them, immigration is a real issue.
I agree, but
it's
wait a
real
minute.
issue.
Why are you mad at that immigrant who's trying to feed his family? Why aren't you mad, just like we saw last week with ICE and those why aren't you mad at those companies who says, your friend, we don't need him because it costs too much.
Right.
We're going to fire him and we're going to hire that immigrant who's going to work for pennies on the dollar. Why aren't you upset with that company? By the way, many of those companies that were raided last week were Cook brother companies. Okay?
Yeah.
So why is it that none of those people who hired illegal immigrants, as they like to say, why didn't they go to jail?
Well, what did they greased the wheel? They don't go to jail.
White supremacy.
Okay, you can say white supremacy.
That's exactly
but
why.
But they greased the wheel, so they wouldn't go to jail.
Well, but that's so what? If you're serious about stopping illegal immigration, here's what you can do.
But if you're talking about them, they're not serious about stopping illegal immigration. Illegal immigration for them is a benefit. So they're not serious about stopping illegal immigration.
Exactly.
No, but my point is that when we talk about illegal immigration, for some people it is a real issue.
For some, yeah.
For some people, and it's a real issue for them, and I don't think it's because of race. I think it's because of simple economics.
Well,
I mean, if you're a guy who's down in Florida and you're picking oranges, and you've been picking oranges for 20 years, and your father before you picked the oranges, and your father before him picked oranges.
their fathers,
before
no,
him.
they,
You don't know.
black folks. If you
there
go
are
back that
black
far,
people-
black people were picking them oranges,
There
just
were-
like they were picking their cotton.
Right, there are black people who pick oranges, pick cotton, pick
Right,
apples, pick grapes,
right.
pick the whole nine, right? And if some of those people are starting to see that people are coming in now and they're taking those jobs, yeah, I think immigration to them is a real thing. Illegal immigration to them
I
is a real
totally
thing.
agree.
And,
But
and again, I don't think it's always about race.
if you want to, yeah, it is. But if you want to stop immigration, it's just simple. Because why do they come to America?
If you really want to stop immigration, I think you just put up an office when you're coming across the border. Hey, you want to be here? Cool. There are a couple of things you're gonna have to do while you're here, and here's a list, right?
Those things, some of those already exist.
Yeah, but I mean, put an office there where you collect their names.
Well, why are they coming, Robert?
They said they're coming for better opportunity.
Okay, so exactly. So guess what? If the Cook brother companies and all those white companies that had all those illegal immigrants working at substandard wages, if those illegal immigrants knew that, hey, I'm not going to get a job in America either, you'd stop it like that.
You think so?
I know so.
So if they were going to get jobs, you think it stopped?
Why
I don't
would-
think it would stop. I think
You have to feed your family.
Yeah, but I think
How do you feed your family?
because of the way they work together, I still think that they would be. I still think they would be successful. Over here.
Not all of them. Maybe some, but
I think it would work out. I think it would honestly work out for them. I don't because again, nobody's gonna stop hiring illegal immigrants. Nobody's gonna stop doing it because it helps the profit margin. So that's not gonna happen.
Right. So you're making my point is that the reason
I was trying to help.
I really that's why I love a black man. The reason that illegal immigration has gotten to the scale that it is because white companies ran by white men are hiring these illegal immigrants. That's what they're doing. So okay, let me juxtapose another similar issue to you. Okay? Prostitution.
Okay.
For a long time, the police vice squad would arrest prostitutes, right? Okay? What did they do? They flipped the script. They said, oh, let's stop arresting the prostitutes.
Right.
Let's start arresting the Johns.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay? Same concept. All right?
Yeah.
So if we simply start arresting the people that are benefiting,
Well, you can't do that though,
why can't you?
because the people who are benefiting are the ones who are paying, who are giving.
They're white.
Campaign contributions.
They're white
They're
males.
giving campaign contributions.
They're white males.
They're giving campaign contributions.
They're white males giving campaign contributions.
Okay.
So white males are contributing to illegal immigration. Right?
I wouldn't say they contribute. I'd say more so they're profiting from
When you profit, then you got to contribute. You got to spend money to make money. So you spend money
it. I can
to.
contribute and not give anything. I can contribute to it and not benefit from it.
But we know
But they totally benefit from it.
exactly. So they don't have any vested interest to stop illegal immigration. But you have a president who we just and it's so profound because just last weekend over 600 illegal immigrants were arrested working for good companies. Good companies. And the irony is that after they were arrested, those companies put out hiring for new people. And I saw a report last week that one of the companies still needs 300 more people.
Not bad.
You see?
Yes, sir.
Did you do something? I know my mic. Well, I guess
That's your mic.
that is my mic.
Fix your mic, Dave.
Well, but anyway, the point being is that this whole thing about illegal immigration is a. I guess I'm gonna have to swap mics.
No,
Wait a
that's
minute.
good.
There it goes.
Move it back.
That's weird. But let's try to reconnect.
That wasn't a good thing. Radio silence.
Okay. That's a little better. Mike's coming in to check on the mics anyway, so our technician. But the point is that if we want to solve the illegal immigration problem, then don't give them jobs. Don't give them jobs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I mean, you make a valid point.
That's what I'm saying.
But
So
it's not going to happen. But
of course it's not, because that means that I'd rather pay the illegal immigrant $4 an hour under the table where I don't have to pay. See, here's the other thing.
But let me ask you this:
How many of those people are paying
how does
taxes?
illegal immigration impact black folks?
To some extent, it doesn't.
So why do we care?
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
You care about illegal immigrants. Why do you care about illegal immigrants, Dave? Are you thinking about bringing up an illegal American?
I've been
Giving
thinking.
her an anchor baby?
No. Hey, if I get an anchor baby, somebody getting sued, and it ain't the woman. His title is urologist. Trust me. Zip, clip, and snap.
So you're not gonna have an anchor baby.
No, I'm done with baby
You're not
making.
gonna marry an illegal.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't care how pretty she is.
Okay.
Okay. But I think you make an excellent point. And we've said this on the show. I really don't care about immigration.
Immigration doesn't impact me at all.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure it impacts other people that I know, but it doesn't impact me at all. To some degree, it impacts guys that I work with because they talk about Hispanics taking the construction jobs, and I get that, right? But it doesn't impact me at all. So that's why I tell people all the time, I don't really see this. I don't really view immigration the same way everybody else does.
Well,
I don't have a personal.
Right. It doesn't impact me either because of what I do. I mean, I make my own money, so an immigrant is not going to keep me from making my money for what I do, okay? You're not going to put, well, you could probably you won't have black focus, but maybe you can have brown focus. I don't know.
Brown focus.
But what I'm saying is that,
Hola focus.
there you go. But then too, Telemundo is the largest network in the country.
Telemundo
you know?
going up.
So
and everybody wants to advertise. Right?
exactly. But my point being is illegal immigration it doesn't affect me. I don't care about it. Just like, what's going on at the border with those babies. Yeah, that's sad. But I understand my history. This is nothing new for America. It doesn't. I expect the worst out of this country. I hate to say that.
I don't like what's happening with the kids.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
I hate to say that, but based on this country's history, I expect the worst.
But I can't really feel bad for anybody else's kids when my kids have been forced on the ground at gunpoint.
I agree. That's my point.
That's tough for me.
We've said on this show often. I
How
can't.
can people not care about my kids, but always want me to care about something?
Right.
else?
I can't carry water for Hispanics or Asians
I can't
or
carry water for
Arabs.
anybody.
The only water I'm carrying is for people that look like me.
Yeah, I can't
Okay?
carry anybody.
I'm not going to your Hispanic march because when we did the Black Lives Matter march, y'all weren't there. Okay? And here's the other
Because
thing.
it wasn't black brown lives.
Every minority in this country benefits from black people. Every one of them. Okay? If they have color, they have melanin.
Okay.
All right? Because you can be a minority in white, and no one will never know it unless you open your mouth and you were from Britain or whatever.
I dig it.
But every minority in this country has benefited from black people. You know why? Because it was black people who gave you civil rights. And because they gave black people march, those people were beaten, dogs sicked on them, water holes turned on them, killed, raped, maimed, hung, shot. Those were black people that created the nexus for civil rights. And because of that, all of you other people of color get civil rights. You owe black people. Yet you come over here, and even if we go to some of your own countries, you treat black people like crap. In fact, in Mexico...
But that's because of the perception that people have painted of black people.
I totally agree.
And we have to really
but it's not just in America. It's all around the world. In Mexico, did you know that many of the people who were escaping slavery in America, you know where they went? They went to Mexico. Okay? And Mexico just last summer, for the first time in its history, counted black Mexicans. You get that, right? So for over a century, black Mexicans were not even considered as Mexicans.
They were considered black?
They weren't even counted.
Black Mexicans? I don't understand what's the difference between a black Mexican and a brown Mexican. What's the difference?
A black Mexican look, no. That's what racism is. It distinguishes based on your color. A black Mexican looks like you and I. When you talk about brown people, you're talking about a lighter complected complexion for Mexicans. So my point being is that all of these people have come over here and benefited from the labor of black people.
Not the labor.
I'm using that as a figurative term.
All right, cool.
Okay, and yet I don't know one ethnic group who have come to a black community and said, "Hey, look, let's work together."
So you don't think that these guys have come? So you don't think any ethnic group has tried to work with us?
Name one.
No, I mean, that's a question, Dave.
No,
Do you think
they haven't.
No. So they haven't.
But
again, I'm gonna ask you the same question I keep asking you. How many Hispanics are on the city board?
I understand all of that. None.
So the question I keep asking is, how can Hispanics not have any political muscle in this city? Technically, and what I call political muscle is having somebody of their race, their ethnic group, on a city council in the state house. How are they able to transform a community, right? With no political clout. How did they do that, Dave?
Being racist.
So what?
Being racist.
What you mean?
To black people.
Oh, so they built up Southwest by being racist to black people.
Where are their stores? How many black people work in those stores?
But Dave, they don't create jobs for. So that's the
right. They don't create jobs for black folks.
No, nobody creates.
Now
jobs
I understand.
Black folks don't even create jobs.
Exactly. I understand your premise.
Yeah.
But my premise is this: that the reason that they can come to America and whatever means by which they grow a community, it is because of black people. At some point, I would tend to believe that you would pay homage to the people who laid the foundation for you. That's all I'm.
You're not gonna get that.
Well, you may not.
They ain't gonna pay homage to you.
So don't call me and say, "Hey, Dave, man, I need you to come." No, I'm not gonna do that, dog.
But again,
I'm not marching for y'all.
But again,
I'm not carrying water for you.
Hispanics see black folks the same way.
And by the way,
everybody else sees us, right?
And so that's a worldview, by the way.
Yeah, it's important for us to change that narrative.
Why do they see us that way? Why does everybody in the world see us that way?
I think we play a part in that too. By some of the things
Really?
that we're doing in our communities.
Well, we playing a part in that, but
by some of the things that we've allowed to happen to us. Because again, I mean,
why have we allowed?
Why
have we allowed that to happen to us?
How can I'm gonna say the same thing I said yesterday. How can black boys, black girls, black men, black women continue to be shot dead by the police, uneducated, meet all these social inequities, and there is no all-out war? How does that continue to happen? I mean, How's that continue to happen to black folks?
It's the same answer that I was going to give you about the Mexicans.
What's that?
It's called white supremacy.
How can you see? I think if you so me and you, we always having this argument about.
I don't argue.
Okay, we're always having this discussion. Then,
Okay.
About. Now I can't even think that.
I argue with my intellectual equals.
Oh Jesus! Oh God, this is good right here.
That's pretty good right there. I got to admit.
So, she's like, "Can get it out?" All right, so check this out. So, we're always having this issue, and if we make everything be about white supremacy, then it's like.
But everything is about white supremacy.
So, okay, Dave. This is the same argument when we sit and talk about people. And we say, "Hey, they need to do something." They say, "Well, I'm gonna go pray." That's the same thing. When you throw in white supremacy, that just negates everything.
That's
because
not
Dave,
true.
if you're saying the reason we're having all these ills is because of white supremacy, then essentially you're saying we can never fix it.
No, you can't fix it.
Okay, so
you can fix it.
But how can I fix it?
But first of all, you got to understand why you're in the predicament. How did we get here?
How did we get to white supremacy?
How did we get here? How
Before
does a people that is 1/4?
Hold on. Before you go there, tell me how do we change the image of ourselves nationally if the answer for where we are is white supremacy?
No. That's the answer is that's not the answer of changing the image. You have to know how you got here before you can figure out how to fix the problem. That's why when you go to a doctor, the first time you go to a doctor, the first thing you have to fill out that long questionnaire. He asks you, is your mama living? Is your daddy living? If they're not living, what did they die of? Okay? He looks at the history.
The history of white
Okay?
supremacy. He looked at the history
He
of white
looks
supremacy.
at the history. How did you get here?
Can I become a white supremacist?
Yeah, you can. Okay. Just go ahead. You just won't be on this show.
Can I be Clarence Bigsby?
You can be Clarence Thomas.
No, Clarence Bigsby.
Is that the guy that went to the KKK meeting? And
No, Clarence Bigsby from Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I forgot about it. By the way, Dave Chappelle has a new thing coming out on Netflix.
It's already out.
Is it already out?
You talking about the comedy thing?
No, this is a new one.
He's bringing back a show.
No, this is a new one because he had Morgan Freeman narrating. It's all over. It's coming, I think, in September. It ain't out yet. I don't think. But here's the point: is you got to know where you came from to know where you're going. And I got to know. We got to understand that. Okay, white supremacy did this, and this.
No, I get that.
So
I get that.
now that we know, and I don't say we know because that's why we're still in a predicament. But once you know how you got to a place, then you can get out of that place. But see, black people have been too busy trying to be like white people as opposed to embracing their own heritage. You still have black people thinking that our heritage began in slavery. You have black people right now. You have black people, and we talk about this every day almost. You have black churches who have pictures of white Jesus. Okay? Not even knowing, even close your ears, you don't want to hear this part. Even if Jesus really existed, you got to know based on the Bible that you study every day that those people were black.
And those pictures are not reflective of who he really was.
Exactly. The book even tells you who he is.
Yeah, I get
So when you have black churches, which is your number one institution in black communities, purporting a white Jesus, that is doing nothing but manifesting white supremacy all over again. That's what I'm saying. You have to understand, how did we get here? We don't understand that. The difference in Hispanics is that Hispanics were never enslaved. They don't have to fight an indoctrination. They don't have to fight the vestiges of slavery. They are Hispanic. That's why when they come here, they're not interested in speaking English.
No, for what?
Exactly, because
they got their own plan to roll out. And that's why I say
they have their own plan because they were not I agree.
We should take a page out of that book and we should come up on our own.
I agree.
Screw white supremacy.
But look, we don't have to take a page out of Hispanics. Why don't we take a page out of Nigerians' book?
Or we can just take a page out of our book from the 60s. We can just go back to those things we did in the 60s.
But you know why I brought up the Nigerians?
No, why?
The Nigerians are the most educated ethnic group in America. They have more degrees and high-level degrees in engineering, doctors, all of those things. Those are not those people came from the motherland. So we don't have to take a page out of Hispanics' book. We have to take a page out of Nigerians' book. But you know what the problem is?
What's that?
Most black people don't even know an African. Most black people don't even trust an African.
Yeah, but I'm not African. I'm black. So that being said,
They're not African either.
it's
They're
all
black.
It's all about creating jobs.
If you're a white woman from South Africa, are you black or are you African?
I don't know. I've never met a white woman from South Africa.
I have. She's African. So that's why when you start
She's
talking
an
about
African American, she can go over there.
she's an African American just like a black person. That's why you have to be careful with those labels. You notice I very rarely use African American. I use the color black. Okay?
People texting me, I am black. I am not an African. I am not going to say I'm an African. I am a black man in America.
African, those of you who are texting,
I am a black
do you know where the word African came from? It came from the Greek explorer Africanus. Hello? When they went into Africa, that was already established. It was Alexander the Great and those explorers who named Africa Africa. Hello, y'all need to wake up. I'm a black man, proud black man. I'm a person of color, a black color, period.
What color is that?
I'm actually, I'm paper sack blind. Okay. Actually, you call me anything else, I'm liable to fight you. Anyway, but my point is, and this whole immigration thing, and we've been, I think you did this on purpose because you don't want to talk about Israel. You got some Jewish friends.
And are you finna talk about Israel now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to leave.
Okay. Well, is it okay that AIPAC agrees with me?
Who's APAC?
AIPAC is the American Israeli Jewish lobby. They are the most powerful Jewish lobby in America. They spend millions of dollars every year trying to elect mainly Republican candidates. So AIPAC agrees with me that what Benjamin Netanyahu, you always holler about your tax dollars, $4 to $5 billion go to Israel annually. And for Israel to try and block U.S. congresswomen, because they are the ones who, Congress is responsible for your paycheck, that's a problem, bro. And if AIPAC, who is the Jewish lobby, because AIPAC hates Farrakhan, hates Jesse Jackson, and most black leaders. In fact, AIPAC led the charge against Jeremiah Wright when Obama was running. So if AIPAC says Trump and Netanyahu is wrong, what does that mean? Anyway. You know, comment.
I'm just looking how much we give away to foreign aid.
Okay. Benjamin, oh, by the way, the Ugandan president, Benjamin Netanyahu, came to visit. And during the visit, he kept calling Israel Palestine.
Who did that?
The president of Uganda. You understand the significance?
No. Nor do I care.
Why not, Robert? You don't care about world politics?
No.
Would you care?
Especially when it's talking about Israel. I ain't got no contract with the state. I said what the hell I want to about Israel. They should just blow it all up.
Oh, you better not say that. The Israeli lobby will come after you.
Sure, come.
Well,
I'm in the hood. I'll let it play.
the point that he's making in doing that is the fact that Israel until 1948 was Palestine.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was Palestine. You see, those people were living there. Those people have been living in that land for 1,000 years. It was America who decided that those white Jews, because you do know that those white Jews are not the original Jews. We've had this conversation before. You remember that? Mm-hmm. You remember the Philoshes? Mm-hmm. The original Jews who were from Ethiopia? The Jews that are in Israel today are from the Caucasus Mountains, which is in Eastern Europe. So that's what he's talking about. But we are giving them billions of dollars every year to kill men, women, and children. And then when that young boy who you just dropped a bomb on and you killed his whole family, he grows up and he wants to attack America, we wonder why. Well, wait a minute. When I was 9 years old, y'all dropped a bomb and it killed my mama, daddy, and all my kinfolks.
I need to move
Move where?
to either Afghanistan, Israel, Egypt, Jordan,
No, you don't wanna
West
move
Bank,
to-
Ethiopia,
Okay.
South Sudan,
You don't want to move to Afghanistan
wow,
because
Uganda, South
Okay.
Africa, Nigeria, Russia. I should go to Russia.
you wouldn't make it in Russia.
Iraq,
You're black. You're big
Tanzania,
black. Now,
Mexico.
By the way, you wouldn't.
Congo,
You wouldn't make it to Israel either because
Haiti.
you're not black.
Lebanon, Somalia,
Pick one of those places you'd like to go.
Sudan. Where would I like to go?
And by the way, a lot of those countries are pretty nice countries. What we see on the media is not necessarily what they are.
Yeah, Ethiopia gets $686 million from the U.S.
Is that all?
South Sudan gets $618 million.
Is that all?
Israel, it says Israel gets, hold on.
Israel gets $5 billion a year.
Well, here it says they get, Afghanistan gets 4.5 billion.
You know why? A lot of that is not
Israel
aid.
gets
That's,
2.9 billion.
no, that's not true.
That's what they're saying.
That's not true.
Egypt gets 1.5 billion. Jordan gets 1.2 billion.
And you know
The
why?
West Bank and Gaza gets 1 billion. Ethiopia gets 686,000. South Sudan gets 618 million. I mean, man, that's crazy.
So you-
South Africa 526.
So you know why, by the way, at one point, Israel and Egypt were the first and second as far as aid was concerned. You know why?
They've always had these holes.
Right. And the whole point in paying Egypt was to keep Egypt from attacking Israel.
Money's always about control.
Exactly.
Always about
Exactly.
control.
But the point is, Israel is our largest recipient of American funds, tax dollars. There's no one ahead of Israel. Now you talked about Afghanistan. Part of that money is military that they're getting, but that still dwarfs in comparison to what Israel gets. All right.
Okay.
So my point in bringing all of this up is that they were not originally there.
Who's that?
You know, when they talk about the children of Israel was not a country. You know that, right? That's not a country.
Israel was not a country?
Think about it. There's nowhere in the Bible that identifies Israel, a landmass. Nowhere.
So what is it? What does it identify? I can't remember.
The children of Israel
That's in the Bible.
are a people, not a country. They are a designated people
But if you're designated people, you have to have a lane, right?
who are descendants of Ham. And where does the majority of Hamites live today?
Where?
In Ethiopia.
I was gonna say something really crazy.
I'm glad you did.
I was just-
On a sandwich, okay?
Exactly. How'd you know?
So the point is that land was already there. It was Cush. It's Cush in the Bible. It's Ethiopia. Oh
Kush,
God,
baby.
that's Kush.
It's Friday, dog. So you know I'm with Kush. It's Friday, baby. Let's get Kush. Hey man, you know I don't really care about Israel, right? I don't care about Israel. Hell with Netanyahu.
You should care.
Netanyahu. Hell with him.
You should care about your tax dollars.
I don't think we should be spending our tax dollars over there. But
I agree. That's the point.
But nobody's gonna fight it
Well,
because
therein lies the problem.
this is crazy.
Therein lies the problem. Okay. By the way, did you know in Israel that they get free education? Did you know in Israel that they get free health care?
So you mean we pay for them to have all the things that we don't have? That's great.
Exactly.
That's great. I love America. That's what I love about America.
Exactly.
The biggest effing hypocrite there is.
That's the whole point in talking.
That's why I don't care for Israel. I have nothing for Israel. I have nothing for Israel at all. At all. Ever.
I agree.
I don't have a contract and nothing they can do to me. But if you want to holler at the play, let me know. Holler at your phone.
855-525-5683 is the number. That's
Come around the way if you want to play.
Let's see. Natalie Maines calls out country music hypocrisy for supporting Trump. I don't care. All right, we don't care. Oh, by the way, historically black colleges see a spike in enrollment from racial unrest. Good. Y'all should. Why are y'all going and letting the colonizers educate your children? Yeah, we're back to that education thing again. Okay? If you're not educating them at home and making sure that they're getting, I told y'all those stories. Man, my kids were reading black books. Yeah, they had to read their regular books, textbooks as well. You know, you're going to read a book about a black person. I'm just saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Okay. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything before we get to the weekend. I want you to go and take your green pill ASAP. Yeah, you're right. LaTanya says a lot of charter schools are failing as well. You're exactly right. In fact, I think I don't know that one is real. Look, here's the other thing. When we talk about charter schools, and you're right, a lot of them are failing. Charter schools are not held up to the same standard as regular public schools. Y'all do know that, right?
Never have been.
Okay? Charter schools are not held to the same standard. They just simply aren't. So when they come to you talking about how great charter schools are, look, if your child, they can fudge, I don't forgot the name of that charter school that just went under. It went under. And they were still trying to prop it up with your tax dollars because they know that these entities are failures. If public schools were failing as bad as charter schools were across this country, then sure, public schools would be out on their ear. You know, it's great to try something different. It's great to try something new. But after a while, it don't take a rocket scientist to know that the new thing that we doing, it's kind of like a new girlfriend or a new boyfriend, depending on who you date. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, oops, this ain't gonna work out. You usually know that in less than a week or two. Do you just keep on doing it? I know some of y'all still date them. You stay with him. He gonna come around. He gonna come around. I know. He gonna come around. No, he isn't. No, she isn't. If she was a slob and didn't clean house and didn't cook before you met her, she ain't gonna do it afterwards. She may do it for a little while just to get you. If he didn't work, didn't help pay bills before he met you, he ain't gonna do it while he's with you. Give you a quick point. Met a young lady, nice young lady. She goes to school. She has 2 children. She's trying to get her degree, and she'll be done in 2 semesters. She's dating this guy. And this guy told her that I want to sleep with other women. She stayed with him. She said he's going to come around. It's been 2 years. My point is this, that if when someone exhibits that type of behavior, they're not going to change. The broader point is that when we see racism around this country, when we continually see people being racist over and over again, they have plenty of opportunities to change. This country has had plenty of opportunities to change. We're in the middle of the Red Summer right now. 100-year commemoration of the Red Summer. And by now, as much as I've talked about it, you ought to know what the red summer is. If you don't know, that's on you. That's an indictment on you. 100 years ago, the red summer began. Hundreds of black people were maimed, killed, robbed, hung, ran off their land. Their land was stolen. Here we are today. Basically, some of the same things are happening. America is that boyfriend or that girlfriend that we think is going to change. And after 400 years, they elected a racist president. At some point, why didn't someone say, hey, look, yeah, we want to win the White House, but we won't do it. We're not going to win it at the expense of our morals. We're not going to allow white supremacists to rear their heads again. They hadn't changed. Remember, the KKK is still alive. The KKK is a terrorist organization. Clearly states it. The Black Panther Party was feeding children, setting up breakfast programs. They set them up, they framed them up, they shot them up, and they killed them up. America is that spouse or that girlfriend or boyfriend that's not going to change. And until we as black people understand that and realize that, we're not going to tell you. Robert makes a good point. Is that a lot of this is our fault. I totally agree with him. It's kind of like when you see that person that's struggling and you say, hey, I've tried to help them. If you don't help yourself, I can't help you. To some extent, that's what America is saying to black people. If you're not willing to help yourself, I ain't going to help you, even though I caused your problem. It's kind of like this, and I'm going to wrap up with this point. Let's say you dig a hole. You throw me in that hole. And then you walk away. But before you walk away, you turn around and you look at me. If you want to live, you got to get out of this hole. And I say, hey, I can't get out of this hole. I don't know how to climb. I don't have a ladder. It's too deep. Guess what's going to happen? I'm going to die in that hole. But if I put my mind to it, maybe there's a way I can figure out that maybe I can find some roots that I can use to get me up a little bit. And then maybe I can find a footstool that I can prop my feet on and push me up a little bit more. And then if I can just get my hands to the top of that hole, maybe just through my own strength, I can pull myself out of the hole. And I live. That's what black people need to understand. And you pull yourself out of the hole by supporting yourself, by spending your money with self. Y'all have a great day.
You've been listening to Black Focus. Our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday.
See y'all later. Y'all have a great day.
On joinetradio.com.